Helene was a wake-up call. This is literally catastrophic. And I can say without any dramatization whatsoever, if you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Breaking news as FEMA is broke by their own disclosure. So today what we're going to do is take you guys under the hood and away from all of these crazy polarizing comments, and we're going to figure out whether or not FEMA is broke by using their own statements, reports, and balance sheets to really get to the bottom of this. And my question is, if they are broke, where did the money go? And if they're not broke, where is the money for these victims? Now, the second segment of this video is going to be on the absolute catastrophe that has just happened for the entire world's semiconductor industry. A special courts facility has just been obliterated in North Carolina that can send ripple effects through the supply chain issues that we already have. So all the conspiracy theorists that think there's a land grab going on with lithium mines, I thank you for sending me down that rabbit hole. But I think you might be looking at the wrong material. Now we're going to end the video out by tackling Hurricane Milton, and we're going to show you guys exactly what's going on with Hurricane Milton. We're going to listen to the mayor of Tampa issue evacuation orders and warn people that if they don't evacuate, they will not survive the hurricane that is currently about to smash into Florida either super late tonight or early in the morning. And I'm also going to show you guys the technology that we're using to track this hurricane as far as the pressure and the wind. And me and Mitch are going to talk about what to do and how to prepare for an absolute natural catastrophe like we're about to face within 24 hours. And before I go into the video, Mitch, happy Tuesday, sir. How are you?
Well, as usual, it's been a long handful of hours in getting this information prepared. And we do the best that we can under the circumstances because the information that's coming in is literally by every 4 or 5 minutes. So we're working on it.
Yeah, this story was very overwhelming. The viewers are in store for overwhelming value today. And I wanted to give a quick thank you to everyone that donated to Melody Wright. She is in Tennessee, boots on the ground. You guys contributed to her. Those links will be in the description if you guys want to support her and what she's doing in Tennessee. We're going to start this video out by tackling FEMA. And the way I want to start this segment is by going to FEMA directly to address the rumors of them being broke. I'm on the FEMA website. And again, I want to use their words, their statements, their balance sheets to figure out whether or not they're broke. This is what FEMA says, rumor. FEMA does not have enough money to provide disaster assistance for Helene. And this is what they're saying the fact is. This is as of October 3rd, 2024. FEMA has enough money right now. I highlighted right now, Mitch, because that's a loaded statement. What does that mean? For immediate response and recovery needs. If you were affected by Helene, do not hesitate to apply for disaster assistance as there is a variety of help available for different needs, except you guys aren't there and you're not issuing the money. Let's start by talking about the facts. All right, Mitch? So all we're going to go into now is the facts. Fact number 1, President Biden did issue a letter to Congress on October 4th. And I'm just going to read one paragraph here. While FEMA's Disaster Relief Fund has the resources it requires right now to meet immediate needs, I wonder where they got that right now from. See how that connects there, Mitch? The fund does face a shortfall at the end of the year. This is the President of the United States. Without additional funding, FEMA would be required to forego longer-term recovery activities in favor of meeting urgent needs. The Congress should provide FEMA additional resources to avoid forcing the kind of unnecessary trade-off and to give the communities we serve. Remember, politicians, you serve these communities. Fact number 2, and this is just a warning, Majorca warns FEMA doesn't have enough funding to last through the hurricane season. And just so you guys know, this is the Secretary of Homeland Security. Okay, this isn't just some wacko. This is an official warning the nation that FEMA's broke. Fact number 3, earlier this year, FEMA initiated what's called the Immediate Needs Funding. Immediate Needs Funding Overview. And again, this is a fact. FEMA issued this to ensure available funding for these critical requirements. FEMA's chief financial officer can implement immediate needs funding guidance, which they did. When operating under INF, FEMA prioritizes response and immediate recovery effort funds by deprioritizing obligations to other activities. Fact number 4. Okay, this one may be the most damaging thing of all, Mitch. This is their disaster relief fund, their congressional monthly report for August 31st of 2024. And if you look down here, they're running in a deficit. Now, this was reported to Congress. You guys can go back and it's just a giant report. There's 28 pages. Go ahead and dig in. But long story short, they gave this to Congress and said they don't even have enough money to get through September without running in deficit. And this report was prior to Helene. So far, why are we conspiracy theorists? It's them that's saying they're broke. Fact number 5. Okay, this is from the Department of Homeland Security, Office of Inspector General, issued August 14th, 2024. I hope you guys are paying attention now. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, did not, again, okay, this is the Office of Inspector General's report. It will be linked to my description. FEMA did not ensure that it closed out disaster declarations in a timely manner. We reviewed 79 disaster declarations and identified 26 programs with nearly $9.4 million in unliquidated funds that remain open beyond their approved periods of performance. This situation is problematic. Here's what's very interesting about this report, Mitch. These are the open programs with POP extensions. Okay, so I want you to look at the initial date right here and the extension date and the unliquidated funds as of June 2023. We got lucky with this report. They've been working on this report for years. Look at this. Look at how much money FEMA really has. $7 billion in money that's just sitting there. When I keep going here and I get to the conclusion of this report, let me read this, okay? And again, this is not me. We're just using the agency summaries and conclusions to report to you guys. As of July 2023, the DRF was projected to have $4.3 billion deficit by the end of 2023, okay? That's how that starts. So FEMA is saying they're going to have a deficit because this report has been going on so long. It just was released. They're going to have a deficit in 2023. So they're always saying that they're broke. You guys understand why it's so confusing? Continued delays in FEMA closing older disasters puts an added strain on the primary source of funding for the federal government's disaster relief program by withholding the slush funds, by withholding the return of $7.1 billion in potential monetary benefits. Just real quick before I go back to you, Mitch, talking about that $750, that $750 is not a loan. What it is a serious needs assistance program that's been around for a little while. And this allows people to get $750 that you do not have to pay back for immediate needs. Now, obviously, that's not enough money. Mitch Vexler, I don't know about you, but that was extremely, extremely disturbing. Where's the money? Why isn't it being used to truly help people? Those are the taxpayers. Those are the people that are paying into that fund. Can you answer this question, sir? In your opinion, is FEMA just one big giant government slush fund? And are they or are they not broke?
They are a slush fund being used for clandestine purposes, as we stated in the prior video on FEMA. And when I also stated that they should be shut down, I would like to answer your question, but starting at the back end rather than the front end. A reviewing court shall hold unlawful and set aside agency action, findings, and conclusions found to be arbitrary, capricious, and abuse of discretion, or otherwise not in accordance with the law. U.S. Code 706-2A. When I said that FEMA should be shut down, that was the correct statement. What you are seeing here are interagency agreements that you can't see, and that would be by definition of commission and or omission. In other words, are admitting evidence that even the Office of the Inspector General can't get their hands on. So when an agency is doing that, that is in complete violation of the law. FEMA is corrupt from top to bottom. It's not to say that there aren't people inside of it that know what they're doing. However, the leadership has caused such problems. So much money has been stolen. Interagency contracts. Remember, you can look at it, well, we have to buy 500 trailers. Okay, well, who's getting the kickbacks on the trailers? You can't see any of this. You can't see it in the balance sheets. There aren't notes to the balance sheets. And this has ramifications that we've already discussed in other videos, all the way down to the school districts and what they're doing. If you can't see it, crimes are being committed. It's real simple. He has people that they have to answer to in both divisions of the government, but everybody says, well, it's FEMA, we'll work it through, there's emergencies. Go and read the second paragraph on FEMA's website. It says we're here before an event, during an event, and after an event. Really? And what exactly did you do as far as North Carolina was concerned before an event? Please explain. So members of Congress, you have a job to do and you didn't do it. FEMA is a rogue organization using its money for clandestine purposes. Period. End of paragraph. Go ahead. Try to disprove me.
Very powerful, Mitch. And speaking of things that we can't see, let's tie this in. Now, for some of the people that have been watching us, I mean, Mitch and I are always talking about the schools, because here's the thing with the schools. You can't see the debt. I threw this up real quick. This is a school district, and look at how they explain to us how they're going to pay for bonds. This is just, again, drawing all of this together. They tell us how much bond per capita, okay, payments, you see that? But they never allow us to see the actual balances and how much money they have. FEMA is the same as the school districts, okay? And I'm not talking about the teachers, okay? There are some great teachers. I'm talking about that back end. You guys have been following along. It's useless. You can't count on them. Mitch, let me ask you, how much would transparency fix all of this?
Can you put that chart back up? It's time to destroy that issue right now. Put that school chart. Okay, I want to explain to everybody. See where it says net bonded debt per capita? So where it says 3,772 under that column, you have to realize that that includes a one-year-old child. That is based on the population, not based on the real estate taxpayers. That number is probably 60% greater. In other words, when they're looking at it, they're including the entirety of the population. Well, the entirety of the population doesn't pay tax, give or take, let's call it 30%. So that taxable assessed valuation per capita is probably, let's call it 3 times greater. That is a fraud. That is omission. That falls under federal law 706(2)A. Purely arbitrary, capricious, intended to mislead. They are lying their ass off.
Okay. So, I mean, how much would transparency change all of this, Mitch?
Well, to a certain extent, nothing is perfect in life. However, transparency, so you can have notes of these bonds, notes of the debts tied to the balance sheet to the point where you can actually analyze, i.e. in the school district's case, food contracts or HVAC contracts, which is air conditioning contracts, to see how much money is truly being spent, what the real cost of that is, where are the cost benefit analysis documents before you even go ahead and make a purchase order. None of this is happening. And it's all intentionally being hidden. And we'll get down to the intent shortly. But that's the reality of the circumstances we're now in. You've got fraud in multiple government levels for very nefarious reasons. And you've got it in the school districts, you've got it in the school teachers union, you've got it in FEMA, you've got it in the central appraisal districts. These entities are rogue entities. They don't give a damn about the law.
All right, man. Well, let's close this segment up, and just real quick for the viewers, I want to recap. Fact: Biden issued a letter to Congress saying that FEMA needed money. Fact: FEMA initiated the immediate need mandate. Fact: FEMA issued a report to Congress in August saying that it didn't have enough money to make it through September prior to Hurricane Helene hitting. Fact: the Inspector General report issued a warning of incompetence from FEMA. Fact: FEMA really has $9 billion. And my question is, and maybe you guys can answer this in the description, FEMA, where is the money? And why aren't you helping U.S. citizens more? Now, having said that, this story was wild, okay? And for the people that led me down the path, I want to talk to you guys now about the massive supply chain disruptions that are about to happen that essentially no one is talking about. The entire world depends on one mining quartz facility to run the semiconductor industry, which has been completely wiped out and destroyed. But first, let me confront the lithium land grab rumors. I'm just going to quickly show you what I found as far as any type of lithium mines that have been impacted by Hurricane Helene. First of all, what you guys need to understand is we actually only have one lithium mine that operates in the United States. That's in Silver Peak Mine in Clayton Valley, Nevada. Most global lithium supply is actually extracted from Chile and Australia. But I will give you guys some props because you are right. They've actually been doing drilling and they've been investigating doing a lithium project, as you guys can actually see here in North Carolina. So, a good job for pointing me there. What's interesting is Piedmont Lithium says they were approved for state mining permit. I'm not ready to jump on that conspiracy theory because, again, there's just so many resources of lithium throughout the world. We have other areas that we can get lithium in. But here's the thing, you guys, we only have one facility that produces this extremely special quartz, and it just got destroyed. Take a look. This is from March 23rd of 2024. So again, people have plenty of warning, okay? The world's semiconductor industry hinges on a single quartz factory in North Carolina. The deposits formed 380 million years ago when Africa collided with North America. This is a very important facility. And look at this facility. Looks like a pretty beautiful facility here. Okay, now this is crazy because this is what this person's saying. The modern economy rests on a single road in Spruce Pine, North Carolina. I'm going to play a video that's going to break this down a lot more. Here's the facility right here. Okay, here's the Quartz Corporation. You see that? Okay, so that's the facility. Looks like a nice facility. I'm going to zoom out so you guys can kind of see where this is located in North Carolina. So let me zoom out a little bit here so we can kind of get an eagle eye view. Now, the first thing that I want you guys to pay attention to that's very, very interesting, okay, is when I zoom out here, look at how close, all right, this is to Asheville. Asheville's right here. And what else is very, very interesting is look at all of these flood warnings, Western North Carolina floods. See all these flood warnings right here? See that? The very, very interesting thing to see up here as well is it almost puts a circle around the Quartz Corporation. That's very, very interesting to me. Now what I want to do is let's play a video from a reporter that's boots on the ground, and let's see what's going on.
And sticking with the chip makers, the whole group could face a new under-the-radar risk that could undermine the industry within 6 months' time. We turn to Megan Casella now for those details. Hi, Megan.
Hey, Kelly, that's right. So the semiconductor supply chain is entirely dependent on one mineral called high purity quartz. And virtually the entire global supply of that quartz comes from one tiny town called Spruce Pine, North Carolina. Now, Spruce Pine saw 2 feet of rainfall from Hurricane Helene. And now, nearly a week later, city officials tell me that there's still no water, power, or cell service. The infrastructure is completely disrupted to the point that roads and railways are so torn up that in some areas in the western part of the state, mules are being used to transport materials in and out. So the 2 companies that operate the quartz mines there, that's Zabelco and Quartz Corp, they tell us their work has been shut down since Thursday. And Quartz Corp adds that they have no visibility as to when operations can restart. So the question becomes not just whether the mines themselves have been damaged, but also whether it's possible to get the quartz out. Disruptions would impact not only the $5 billion quartz market, but the $600 billion semiconductor market that depends on it. And that quartz is also used in solar panels, fiber optic cables, and some light bulbs, which could all see some issues as well. And Kelly, I just spoke a few minutes ago with the head of TechSet. They track the quartz supply chain. Their best guess right now is 4 to 6 weeks until things are back up and running in Spruce Pine. And that's if the roads are able to be cleared. So that alone could lead to at least minor slowdowns for the chip makers. And every day that timeline gets extended, Kelly, the impact just multiplies.
And so remind me again, when we talk about who in the chip world uses this quartz, is it pretty much everybody?
Every chip maker. So officials in Spruce Pine like to say that if you have a cell phone, if you have a computer, you have a piece of Spruce Pine with you. It's virtually the only place in the entire world that supplies this highly, highly pure quartz that's used in pretty much every semiconductor that's out there. So it was a vulnerability that was known beforehand, but now it's just, the question is really here. Before it was sort of a hypothetical. Now it's a real question of what happens if they can't start to get this quartz out.
Mitch, that's crazy. So according to that video, each of us has a little piece of that town in our households. Can you talk about, what type of massive supply chain disruption that small little mine facility of quartz can have on the entire world?
Well, assuming that the inventories are low, which is not a good assumption, but if the inventories are low in the existing plants to the point where, let's say that 6 to 8 weeks down the road, this factory mine can't be brought back online, yeah, it really could have an impact. Is it as bad as an impact at the ports? No, not immediately. However, if you're a semiconductor producer and you want your computers, yeah, probably over 4 or 5 months, this is going to have a real impact. I don't know that anybody at this moment understands how much inventory is actually on hand, but clearly in this business, you can't do just-in-time production. So there has to be some inventory out there. The ramifications are yet to be determined. However, when you start understanding, is this stuff shipped by truck? We already know that trucks aren't moving in that northern 1 hour vicinity. If this stuff is shipped by rail, well, the rails can't work either, because if they were underwater, they need to be reset. So is it really 6 weeks to bring it back online? Don't know.
Yeah, and that's pretty rural. I mean, there's not a lot there, Mitch. That's, really, really surprising. Let me ask you your opinion on that facility being destroyed. They can't even see it. They can't even get to it. Now, I know you said there should be some supply somewhere, but do you think that this puts any damper on the plans in Arizona, Surprise, Arizona, where they're developing that plant facility? Because I've been there, boots on the ground, to Surprise, Arizona, and I got to tell you, man, they must be spending billions of dollars throwing up brand new homes that no one can afford, anticipating that plant opening. So can this have an impact on those plans?
Well, the straight answer is sure it can, but nobody can quantify it, and therein lies the ultimate problem. It becomes guesswork, and we really don't want to speculate on any of this stuff. However, it is clear that inflation will enter the equation, because when demand exists and supply isn't there, inflation moves up, and then the government, because of inflation, which is a tax on people's money, as we've discussed in the past, gets stronger and stronger, because that's what inflation does. It causes debt. And when you have debt, you have defaults, and you will have a default in the government. None of this is good. It's all connected.
I want to talk about the fact that these small little pockets of either the port strikes or this facility could massively impact the economy, and how that shouldn't be. And let me throw up real quick, Mitch. Now, I know some people have been following us, but here's the actual union numbers. Okay, so this is showing that the National Education Association, or teachers, they got 3 million people. That's a video for another day. Corruption, fraud, manipulation. In other words, that's the biggest union. That's absolutely insane. But look at this, guys. There's a lot more unions. Teamster, United Food, 1.3, 1.4, 990 for the United Auto Workers. So the fact that those port strikers of 45,000 people completely annihilated the economy is shocking to me. And also what's shocking to me, that there's only one facility that supplies the entire world with this material. But Mitch, what can you tell us, about the issues here? And again, what's up with the 3 million members in this union? I mean, what's going on, man? How do we change what's happening?
Well, okay, so let's back up for a second. On the unions, they're double the size. This is with regard to the school teachers union. This is double the size of the next closest union. And we've been discovering and discussing the issue with the real estate taxes, that they have to be eliminated. Well, the biggest user of those taxes is the school districts themselves. The school districts represent 83% of those dollars taken in. So as a school district, which is a taxing entity, the taxing entity gets their money from the central appraisal district. Well, 83% of the problems lie inside of the school districts. The school teachers union, being the size that it is, which in and of itself is notorious for corruption for obvious reasons, is a huge problem. And all of these things that you're seeing end up, the inflation that you see in the housing, the problems that you see in the contracts in the side of the school districts. You have food contracts, you have HVAC contracts, you have all sorts of problems. Well, you can't track that through, just like you cannot track it through on FEMA. When people are hiding the evidence, they're hiding their balance sheets. They have off-balance sheet issues. They have interagency issues. They have systemic fraud, i.e. HVAC contracts. All of these things are hidden. And when that occurs, that is fraud. That is a violation of state's law. That is a violation of constitutional law. And it all ends at the tail end in RICO, assuming they get prosecuted, which they need to have happened. So all of these things that we're discussing in reality are hooked at the hip. Fraud is hooked at the hip. The government, be it the federal government of the United States, and in particular the Federal Reserve, has zero interest in reducing expenditures. See, people become more dependent when inflation runs rampant. They think, well, the government will spend more money to reduce inflation. The government isn't here to reduce inflation. The government is doing what it's doing to increase inflation. Because when they increase inflation, they make us, the citizens, more dependent on their actions. What should be happening is the exact opposite of what the Federal Reserve is inducing. You want free markets. You don't want the government in your business. When the government is in your business, you are now looking at FEMA, the school districts, the central appraisal districts, all of which in combination are creating hyperinflation. Then you add on top of that the problems you're now beginning to see with the supply chain. Well, the governments make people dependent. Well, if people are dependent on the government, what's that definition? Right. That definition is socialism. Congratulations, they've equity stripped all of us. They've created a socialist economy, and it will collapse. And as I've said, we have exported our garbage around the globe. We will drag down other countries in the form of our treasuries that in reality, their value isn't what people claim it is. And neither are the bonds.
All right, let's put all this together real quick again for the viewers. This is my take, okay? Let me break that down, what Mitch just said. FEMA is the same as schools, right? There's a trend here. FEMA, school districts, similar trend. We bring the school districts up because they're the bigger issue. They are a massive organization. So the bigger issue is actually the school district, but they're comparable. Now, in addition to that, as far as the unions, the reason we brought that up is the accountability. We can't be having 45,000 port workers doom us. We can't be having one small facility in North Carolina that just got wiped out take our economy down. We need some form of accountability that's not there because of socialist practices. Now, Mitch, we got to move on. I know we're covering a lot of bases here. We got to tackle Hurricane Milton. Let me show the viewers, first of all, and I want to get to the technology. I'm going to show the viewers what I'm using to track that pressure, to track that, and to track that wind. But first, let's listen to the Tampa mayor report on the evacuations.
And my source tonight is the mayor of Tampa, Florida, Jane Castor. Mayor Castor, it's great to have you here. I know you have a lot going on. What is your number one message to Tampa residents tonight?
The number one message, as it has been for several days now, is that you need to prepare, do whatever you need to do, and then get out of the evacuation zones, which now are evacuation zone A and B. And as we all have heard so many times now, you hide from the wind and run from the water. And we are talking about right now the possibility of a direct hit with 10 to 12 foot tidal surge. Put that in perspective, Hurricane Helene, which just left the Tampa Bay area a week ago, there was 6 foot storm surge, and that was literally devastating to so many in our coastal area. We have 126 miles of coast just in the city of Tampa. And so people need to be heeding that warning. And from the looks of traffic on all of our northbound highways, they're doing just that.
Yeah, we've seen how jammed up those highways are. I know a lot of the tolls have been suspended to help facilitate people getting out of there. What would you say to people tonight who are saying, you know what, I'm going to ride this out. I've ridden others out. What would you say to people who aren't heeding those evacuation orders?
Well, I can tell you right now that they may have done that in others. There's never been one like this. And this, Helene was a wake-up call. This is literally catastrophic. And I can say without any dramatization whatsoever. If you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Very powerful words from the mayor and things that you should probably take seriously. Let me show you guys now what technology and what website I'm using for free to track the path, pressure, and wind of Hurricane Milton, which again, you guys, is expected to hit late tonight or extremely early tomorrow, literally the worst possible time to hit. Take a look at this. I'm using a website called Cyclonic WX. Now, I use this a lot, Mitch, because I live in the Gulf of Mexico and I have to deal with hurricanes all the time. And right now, they're actually tracking 3 storms. They've been tracking Milton for a while now. And all you guys got to do, you come here, you click on Hurricane Milton. Once you're here, you can drop down this right here and you can actually track it. You can see what the pressure is. You can see what the wind is. So if I go here and I hit pressure, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to floaters and I'm going to click this. And this is going to show me the most recent information on the hurricane, essentially showing it's going 130 knots right now, which you can actually convert knots to miles an hour right here. So it's about 149 miles an hour. The pressure's up now to 929. As of right now, this is a category 4, but I did want you guys to know that this is where I go. This is a pretty detailed information if you guys want to track this thing yourself. Mitch, before I go back to you to talk about what we need to do to come together, I first want to say to everyone that's watching this, there's 2 things that I want to warn you guys about, okay? From my own experience in dealing with hurricanes and helping people, number 1, you have to worry about if you're going to rescue people, okay? And I want you to rescue people, but you need to worry about the dangers in the water, okay? Not only can the water become extremely toxic, I wore waders to protect myself from that toxic water getting into any open wounds, but you also have to worry about invisible things like electricity. When I was in Hurricane Harvey, after all the dust settled and I got home, I was reading reports of people that jumped in the water that got electrocuted, so be careful. Now, in addition to that, one mistake that I made when I jumped into the water to go after people that got swept away is I jumped in the freaking water. Okay, head first. You have to remember, if you're going to jump into the water in the middle of a street, you don't know what's in that water. I could have jumped head first into a car door. Okay, so be careful what's in that water. And the other thing is, while you still can, make plans to get ahead of this. You cannot count on FEMA. Community over FEMA. Mitch, there's power in numbers, sir. What can we do to best get through Hurricane Milton, which will hit and which will create devastation as early as tomorrow morning, less than 24 hours? What do we do right now, sir?
What should have been done, obviously, is planning for these events. Had FEMA done what it says they would do on their website, which is planning before. But it's multiple levels, and I was rather shocked by the director of FEMA stating, in the case of North Carolina, well, we're now turning over responsibilities to the local authorities. Yeah, those local authorities don't even have electricity. That occurred yesterday. So, as Travis said, the idea of depending on FEMA is complete nonsense. It just isn't going to happen. And that does come right back to community. The problem everybody in Tampa is going to face right now is that they're all on the highway. For those who are ham radio operators, they can help assemble groups, but in truth, that should have been done long before Milton had ever hit or anything of this size had ever hit. So this is going to be very difficult. People have got to get out of harm's way. I don't even know that the ambulance services or the fire trucks or the police officers, all of those assets have got to get out of there. They've got to go somewhere else, staged, and then be ready to come back. I just don't know if that's happened. So there's going to be a lot of confusion. There's going to be a lot of annoyed people, mad. However, recognize that you've got other friends. You may meet new friends out of this whole experience. But the bottom line is, it's not good. Keep your head calm. And we best pray for the best results.
Yeah. Fill up your gas tanks, guys. One thing that I do, Mitch, as well, is I fill up my bathtub. Because we got like boil notices here, which is like sewage going into the water system. So if you fill up your bathtub, you got your source of water. So, which is really important, especially if there's going to be damage done to the infrastructure. So fill up water, make some plans. Really well said, Mitch. Keep a cool head, a support team. Don't even wait. I mean, literally just get behind the storm. You should be arriving at like 3 a.m. Like as soon as this thing passes, you should be on the ground helping these people. And real quick, you guys, again, one more shout out. This is where I'm going to end the video, Mitch. I'm going to end the video by taking you guys a pixelated cell phone footage of Melody Wright, boots on the ground in Tennessee, just to show you guys the destruction. Again, we have so many polarized things. Yeah, there's damage. Yeah, there's no damage. Well, let us show you that there is damage by taking you to our colleague who's boots on the ground. And again, you guys, thank you for the support. Her link is in the description if you want to help her. Other than that, Mitch, I'm going to get him out of here. But do you want to close on anything else?
Under the circumstances, I'm more focused on Milton than I am on FEMA. We'll come back to FEMA and the central appraisal districts and what's happening at the school district shortly. Focus on Milton.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, sir. And Mitch, I always appreciate your time, sir. And if you guys are out there living your life, we wish you luck. We hope you stay safe and we hope you win.
Is Stillmuck Road in Greene County, or what used to be left, or what's left of the road. You can see the water just came through here, completely tore up the road. You can see the foundation of the houses that used to be here.